Welcome to the Explainer. Okay, so you've downloaded that new app, the big launch day is finally over, so the job's done, right? Well, not quite. Today, we're jumping right into the official ISTQB Foundation syllabus to talk about what happens after an application goes live. We're talking about the super important world of maintenance testing.
So let's start with a question. Think about all those apps on your phone. Once they're out in the world, is the work really over for the people who made them? I mean, it might seem that way from our end, but for the software itself, the journey is really just beginning.
You see, the reality is that software is never, ever truly finished. It has to evolve to survive, right? New features get added, your phone's operating system gets a massive update, and of course, sneaky little bugs show up. Without that ongoing care, even the absolute best software can become useless or just unreliable.
All right, so here's how we're going to break this all down. First, we'll get a solid definition of what maintenance testing actually is. Then we'll look at what kicks it off in the first place, and explore how just one tiny change can create a huge ripple effect. And finally, we'll tackle the big one. How on earth do you know when you've tested enough? Okay, let's start at the beginning. This whole process of taking care of software after launch, well, it has a name: maintenance testing. And I love this description for it. It's like the guardian that protects a system after it's out in the wild.
So here's the official ISTQB definition, and it really nails it. You see, it's not just about testing the brand new code you've written. It's about making absolutely sure that your cool new feature doesn't accidentally break something that was already working just fine. It's kind of like being a really careful mechanic. You want to fix the engine without messing up the brakes.
Now, maintenance itself isn't just one thing. It actually breaks down into a few key categories. First, you've got corrective maintenance. That's your classic bug squashing. Then there's adaptive maintenance, which is all about making sure your app still works perfectly after, say, a huge iOS update. And finally, you have perfective maintenance. This is the proactive stuff, making the system faster, stronger, and just easier to maintain down the road. So what actually kicks this whole process off? It's definitely not random. There are actually very specific events or triggers that basically wave a flag and tell a team, hey, it's time to do some maintenance testing. And according to the syllabus, it really boils down to three big triggers. The first is any kind of modification to the software. No surprise there. The second is a migration, basically moving the software to a new home. And the third, and this one might actually surprise you, is retirement. Yeah, even when the software is being shut down. Let's look at each one.
So the most common trigger, by far, is just changing the software. This could be a totally planned update, like rolling out a new feature everyone's been asking for, or it could be an emergency, like a frantic, unplanned hotfix to patch a major security issue. Either way, that change has to be tested.
Okay, now this one's pretty fascinating. Migration. Because in this case, the actual software code might not change at all. Instead, it's the environment around it that's changing. Imagine you're moving your whole application from some old physical server in a closet to a brand new cloud platform. You have to test everything to make sure it survived the journey to its new home.
All right, this last trigger might sound a little weird. I mean, why would you bother testing software you're about to turn off for good? Well, the answer is all about the data. When an app is retired, its data usually has to be archived for legal or business reasons. So you need to test that whole archiving process to be sure that critical info can be safely stored, and this is the important part, that it can actually be retrieved years from now if someone needs it.
Okay, so now that we know when we need to test, we run smack into the next huge question. What do we test? Because in software, one tiny, seemingly harmless change can have massive, unexpected consequences.
You know, in any complex piece of software, everything is interconnected in these weird, invisible ways. It's like a giant spider web. That means if you tweak one little thing over here, you could cause a catastrophic problem way over there, somewhere you weren't even looking. So the real question is, how do you manage that risk?
The answer is a strategy called impact analysis. And the syllabus puts it this way. It's something you do before a change is even made to help you decide if the change should be made at all. It's basically the software equivalent of look before you leap. You investigate all the potential consequences before you even think about writing a single line of new code.
So by doing this analysis, teams can essentially map out all the different parts of the software that a change might touch or ripple out to. This is what helps them get really smart about their test plan. Specifically, it helps them figure out the scope of their regression testing, which is just the fancy term for checking that the new changes haven't broken any of the old existing features.
And this whole idea of impact analysis leads us straight to our final challenge for today. Once you know what could be affected, how do you decide on the actual size and scope of your testing effort? How much is enough?
Yeah, deciding how much to test isn't just a gut feeling, it's a calculated decision. And the syllabus points to 3 key factors that you've got to consider. First is the risk of the change. Are you fixing a typo on a help page, or are you tweaking the credit card payment system? Second, the size of the system itself. And third, the size of the actual change you're making.
And you can really see how this plays out in practice. On one hand, you've got a small hotfix. The scope is super narrow, the risk is pretty contained, so you probably only need a handful of very specific tests. But on the other hand, you have something huge, like that platform migration we talked about. The scope is massive. The risk touches the entire system, so you're probably going to need to test pretty much everything to feel confident it's safe to release.
So what's the bottom line here? Maintenance testing, it's not just some chore you do at the end. It is the essential, ongoing work that protects a software's quality, its integrity, and its value for its entire life. It is literally what keeps great software great.
And all of this brings us to a final, really interesting question to chew on. If software and the world it lives in are always constantly changing, can testing ever truly be done? It kind of suggests that quality isn't some destination you just arrive at, but a continuous journey you have to stay on.
And that's all for this explainer on maintenance testing. I really hope this breakdown was useful for you. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.